next guest on today's Perspective may give you a new take on Nigeria crime on a much bigger scale. Two journalists who've spent years piecing together the operations of a Nigeria Mafia group that dominates parts of Marseille and is globally connected. The book is called Mafia Africa. It's being released this week, and it's the work of Celia Lebor and your colleague as well, Joanne Till.
Hey guys, how are you doing? Welcome back to my channel. So it's me, your girl Alexia, aka Proud Mommy. So today's video is all about this new book called Black Mafia African. So if you know you live in France, this video is for you. And also if you know you're based in Marseille area, stay tuned and watch this video to the end. And this video is especially for our brothers that are living here in France, based in Marseille. So if you know you have a husband living there in Marseille, or you have a brother living in Marseille, or your cousin, somebody you know, watch this video to the end so you can share this video with them. Also, you can analyze this video with them, what I said in this video, and you can also share the video with them if you feel like sharing the video with them. So this book was published here in France, and the reason why they published this book and the reason why they gave this book Black Mafia is because of our Nigerian boys here in France that are Cultism. So during the time of COVID, so France decided to go into the issue why our Nigerian brothers are fighting. They are not saying Ghanaians or Senegal or Cameroon or another country. They decided to go into the details, and they now find out that our brothers are into cultism and they are fighting almost every day in Marseille. And a lot of people got injured and they report to the police station. This lady that published this book, she is a journalist and she has been working with different associations in Marseille. She traveled to Africa. She called a lot of people in Africa, and they even went to Africa to speak with some families, some brothers and sisters in Africa. They have concluded and they have known everything, how these cultists operate, how the cult started, what they are trying to do, the color they are flying, everything. The white people has known a lot about this cultism. So the journalist that published this book, she also said that a lot of Nigerians has been arrested because of this. If you know you are a guy in Marseille, I will advise you to stay in your house. Don't go out, because when you've been caught by the police, they will take you back to your country. Because now the French police, they are into this issue. They want to stop it. If you know you are a cultist in Nigeria before you came to Europe, I would say this country, France, is a wrong zone for you. Because the France government and the police are really into it. So one point that the lady gave in this book is, they said this cultism, they are mafias. Okay, they have other connections with the white mafias in Italy, in other countries. So they are involved in also in human trafficking, by saying that these people are the one threatening the guests to pay. And also these people, they are fighting almost every day in Marseille, like bloodshed every day. And a lot of guys that are not into this cultism have went to the police station to report about these issues. So the police have gathered a lot of evidence. And also the lady that published this book, she also went to Africa to gather a lot of evidence about this book. And she has spoken with a lot of NGOs in Africa, and they have everything they are looking for. So that's why they published this book. So my point is, when the police caught you now, you are fighting on the street, they will classify you as a black mafia. And you know what that means? It means that they will take you straight to deportation camp. 48 hours, the judge is going to decide if they are leaving you or not, which they are taking you back to your country by contacting your embassy, okay? If you don't have passport, which if you are in this country called France, you live in Marseille area, and you know you came to this country for survive. You came to this country for a better tomorrow. I will advise you to stay in your house by doing what is right, by starting your family, by living with your kids and wife, you know, forgetting about this. Because when you get caught, they are taking you back to your country. And remember, your brothers in this cultism are not going to help you. You don't get a dime for them. So it's better to stay off problem before it happens. Because the way the France people are really into Nigerians guys now, so you guys have to be careful. Also, they say our Nigerian guys are also into drugs. Say drugs on the street of Marseille. They are fighting, killing, stealing. You know, they are saying this like they have a lot of things to prove. And a lot of guys are in deportation camp as I speak because of this same situation. So when you are fighting with your fellow friend on the street now, the police just came. Don't think they're going to take that person, like they're going to say, okay, they will leave you in 24 hours. No, 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 no. This time around, they are taking you straight to the deportation camp. They're going to classify your case as Black Mafia Africa. This book is also about prostitution. The way girls came to this country, the way they are doing their prostitution, the way they are, everything that has to do with prostitution. So she went to Nigeria to question some families to know exactly what is going on in the country, if the story they are telling here is really true or not. And some family really exposed everything they really need to know. Okay, when I say exposed, meaning they don't talk everything, no one remember. So all the white people don't know as it they play for that side now. So no story where they hide. So they don't gather a lot of information. So that's why they publish this book. So this book is all about we, the Nigerians living here in France. Every secret you are doing outside the country, everything you're doing inside the country is all about in this, or is all in this book. So if you are a Nigerian person, I will advise you to go get this book and read it so you know the law will catch you for the country. This will not be tell me make I can't tell you. Okay, so I will advise you to go get this book. You can easily go to Amazon to download this book. At least if you are in any country, you can easily download it and pay for it. If you go to Carrefour, if you live in France, you go to Carrefour, you will see this book, 21 euro. It's there. Any supermarket you go in France, you will see this book there. So the book has already been published, and every secret in Nigeria, what Nigerian people are doing for a living, how they extract money from people, they bring people here. Our guys steal something from the street, they do drugs, cultism, everything about Nigerians are all inside this book. If you are a wife, you're watching this video right now, just call your husband, advise your husband to stay off the street for now. Not even for now, to stay off the street and focus. Because when he's caught, that one another problem, my sister. Because not be the one who they talk, now we'll cut it. So you know, remember, come watch this video again.
Now, when we talk about Nigerian crime, it's often synonymous with cybercrime, variants of the original so-called 419 scam, emails where the suspect claims to be a prince or princess and without access to their riches, and if we can help them out with money, we'll share their windfall. Then the victim's bank accounts get emptied and they're never heard of again. Now, my next guest on today's Perspective may give you a new take on Nigeria crime on a much bigger scale. Two journalists who've spent years piecing together the operations of a Nigeria Mafia group that dominates parts of Marseille and is globally connected. The book is called Mafia Africa. It's being released this week, and it's the work of Celia Lebor and your colleague as well, Joanne Tilween. You've got to start from the top with this. This is an incredible investigation. It starts in a Paris courtroom where I think it's Joan who's watching the trial come to an end of some Nigerians. And well, take it from there for me.
Sorry, can you...
You start this case, you're looking at some Nigerians who've been into court in a trial, and it takes you on a path into a web.
My colleague Joanne actually was following this case in Paris, and at the time I was a correspondent in Nigeria. I used to spend 4 years in this country, and so we actually connected and started to really look into the matter at that time, and we decided to dig into it.
And just give me a sense of the scale of this, because there's two things that spring to my mind. In setting out this mafia group, we're in Marseille. You introduce chapter by chapter each character, so you've clearly got sort of a good relationship with people on the outside that really don't want you to know any of their business.
Yes, and that was a tricky part, actually. So we had so many characters, so we decided not to choose, first of all, like to really, because there were so many people that had really interesting stories and insightful things to tell about what was going on. And so with many of them, the approach was quite complicated initially. Actually, yes. But we spent a lot of time. We worked with social workers in Marseille, with NGOs in Nigeria, and we spent a lot of time in Quartier Nord de Marseille. So in this complicated area of Marseille, we spent a lot of time as well with people. We approached Also, Nigerian people from the community, like the diaspora, fathers, mothers, normal people who have been living in Marseille for a while, and all these people helped us a lot.
Give us some of the key findings that you bring out in this book, the way this group operates.
So the thing is that they are actually involved in many different trafficking. So basically prostitution networks, drug trafficking, and cyber fraud, as you mentioned earlier, are their main activities at the moment. But they are really diversifying all the time. There is a constant evolution of these groups. They are expanding all over the world. So now they are actually present in most of the continents. They have judiciary cases ongoing in the US, in Europe, in Asia, for all of these activities. So they are really, and so when you ask how they operate, is the bosses are mainly based in Nigeria. And they are like the foot soldiers that are really operating all over the world, mostly young people in this country. Like, this is a really big country, like the most populated country in Africa, 200 million people, and these youth, they don't have hope today in Nigeria. They don't have jobs. They don't have anything to do. They are facing what they call an alleged corrupt elite. And it's so immigration, exile is really one of the key for them. Like at the moment in Nigeria, everyone is always talking about Japa, what they call immigration. And that's the thing. So like joining such a group somehow is one of the solutions for them.
You call it a cult, don't you? There's certain membership rituals and rites of being in it.
Yes, so they are called cults in Nigeria. Everyone calls them this way, actually. And so they have a lot of mystic rituals, ceremonies. For example, the initiation ceremonies are really like you have a specific cocktail to drink, sometimes with blood in it. You have also the oath taking for the women and girls that are going to be prostituted. So you have a lot of rituals like this that are really inspired from the ancestral traditions and the pre-colonial actually religions.
Well, you see it. I mean, there's one chapter where you talk about there's one of the gang who's got a bayonet in the middle of the street in Marseille. Is it something that you can pass by easily? Is it hidden? How open is it?
For many years, it's been hidden because it was really happening within the Nigerian community. So actually, the phenomenon was not known in France compared to Italy, for example, where they have been around for many years. Actually, so in Marseille, for a long time, nobody knew about it. And in the last years, and specifically during the lockdown, due to the COVID-19, they started to have like collective rapes and many like very violent stories happening just outside in the street. And also like the police investigation started really to focus on cultism.
When people think about Mafia, I think lots of time it springs to mind the Sicilian Mafia, the Cosa Nostra, or the Yakuza in Japan. Where does this Nigerian Mafia compare?
Somehow it's very complicated to compare because it's much more complex than the traditional mafia with a very centralized organization and so on. You have a lot of foot soldiers, as I said, and they act quite independently from each other. It's difficult to control those foot soldiers. They are so numerous, so expanded all over the place. But at the same time, they have links with the biggest criminal organization in the world. So Italian mafia, South American cartels, and so on. They have really strong links with them.
Briefly, there's very little I think you see on this. It's a brilliant read. Netflix, Amazon, have the series producers been in touch? Have you had any interest yet for a TV epic on this?
That would be fantastic. We will see.
Sylvie Lebeur, thank you so much. That's the book, Mafia Africa. Well, that's it from me and the team this morning. Stay with us on France 24. We'll give you the latest on Georgia and what's going on in Bakhmut too, here on France 24.